Shalom. Call halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us his truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yashawan, back with the WW3 Daily update. Shalom and salutations to you as well. All right, so today is Wars and Rumors of War Tuesday, right? And we try to stay on schedule. We rarely do, but we try. So what we do is we bring out Matthew 24:6. We read it. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Okay, wars and rumors of war Tuesday. See that ye be in trouble, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, why? Because the final war, the final battle, the war of Slovakia, the final battle, the battle of Armageddon, will take place in the Middle East. All right. So anything going on right now, before we get there, could be propaganda, could be a distraction, could be rumor, innuendo, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Let's read this in what we do is wars and rumors of wars. NLT, wars and threats of wars. So we have rumors, we have threats, and we have a problem. A little glitch here, bear with me until it fixes itself. Hopefully it will. And we're going to go down, and it's going to be wars, rumors, threats, reports, and news. Okay, and this is frozen. Let me see. Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. So we got rumors, threats, where's reports, and reports of wars, and news of battles. Okay? So, let's look at someone's opinion. I haven't been here in a while. The Duran, 3 hours ago. Zelensky in a box. Offensive success and doubt neocon plan. B, push Poland into conflict. Okay, so this is discussing Eastern Europe, which is the Valley of Yehoshaphat, which is the Middle East. So this is basically a distraction. Now, this is going into the leaked documents and everything that was once hidden coming out into the open. We're going to watch this, and you determine whether this is propaganda, whether this is news, threats, rumors, or conjecture. All right, and take it away, Alex.
All right, Alexander, let's do a video focusing on an article that came out from the Washington Post the other day, and the title of this article is U.S. Doubts Ukraine Counteroffensive Will Yield Big Gains, Leaked Document Says.
Okay, let me jump in there real quick and say this. What counteroffensive? What has that got to do with anything? Okay, the counteroffensive, if anything, what is it going to yield? If they get too close to Crimea, and I mean Ukraine, if Ukraine gets too close to Crimea, they're going to come out with tactical. Russia will come out with tactical nukes, which will push the war forward too fast, if you will, because they're not ready to take it to that level yet. Why? Because the real war or the real battle is in the Middle East, which is being hidden. They're choosing to obscure the real battle by showing you these other theaters. One being Eastern Europe, Ukraine versus Russia. Another, what's the mainstream media pointing towards right now? They're pointing towards the South or South China Sea. Oh, there's an embargo. There's a blockade going on. And they're blockading Taiwan. No. The real battle is in the Middle East. So anything other than that is just a distraction.
Document says. So obviously, this Washington Post article draws on the leaked documents that we discussed in a video that we published the other day. What are your thoughts on this article? Because I found this to be quite an incredible article from the Washington Post confirming much of our analysis. And you'll explain why it confirms much of our analysis. But I mean, it was an incredible article from the Washington Post.
It is an incredible article, and can I say it does confirm our analysis. We have an exhausted Ukrainian army, that's absolutely clear. The men are tired, the officers are tired. Many of the best soldiers, as we know, have been killed. Many of the best officers have been killed or wounded. It's short of ammunition, it's short of equipment, it doesn't have air support, it's up against a Russian army that's largely fresh. We've discussed many times in many videos that the reserve forces that were called up in September last year have just completed their training. They've never been committed into battle by the Russians. So they have at least 160,000 men ready to fight who've never been committed to fight up till now. Probably much more than that, by the way. The Russians outnumber the Ukrainians in tanks, machines, everything you can possibly imagine. And they built up these enormous fortifications that we know about in Kherson region, in Zaporozhye region, in Svratovo, Kremenna, wherever. So we've always said that this looked like a very problematic offensive. Now we learn from the Washington Post that US intelligence is briefing the Pentagon, and this looks like this was a briefing sent to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It's been briefing the Pentagon about the same thing. They're saying if Ukraine goes ahead with this offensive, it will suffer heavy losses, it's unlikely to gain much ground, it's unlikely to break the land bridge to Crimea. It all looks incredibly problematic, and apparently the Pentagon was so concerned that somebody in the Joint Chiefs of Staff decided that they would have some kind of a meeting with the Ukrainians in mid-March to actually look over and see whether Ukraine's plans match its capabilities. I mean, this is what we're now getting from all of these various sources.
Okay, let me stop it right there. Let's go into Sun Tzu real quick, okay? What would this look like in the eyes of Sun Tzu? Make the enemy believe that you're weak. Make the enemy believe, right? That's what Sun Tzu would do. After all, this is Wars and Rumors of War Tuesday. So could this leak be kind of like what they did in World War II with the blow-up balloons, the blow-up tanks, the blow-up army, if you will, regiment or whatever? They had divisions of blow-up tanks to create an illusion, right? This is all part of the art of war, if you will. So we don't know. But here's what we do know, that all of this, right, is irrelevant to what the scriptures say. What do the scriptures say? Let's get a precept real quick. Again, same thing, Joel. What does God say? Joel 3. He says that the Battle of Armageddon will be where? Not in Russia. Okay? Not in Russia, but where? In the Middle East. Let's see if I can get it here. Maybe not. Okay. Yeah, getting a little bite back from the devil here. He's not going to let me get to... Oh, here we go. Come on, you devil. You damn devil. Okay, right here. I will also gather the nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Yehoshaphat, okay? Where's the Valley of Jehoshaphat? It's in the Middle East. I will gather the armies, Joel, into the Valley of Yehoshaphat, okay? And let's go further. Let's go down here. Thousands, what? Multitudes, okay? Joel 3 and 12. Let the heathen be weakened and come up to the Valley of Yehoshaphat. There it is again. For there, not in Eastern Europe, there, where? The Valley of Yehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat, jump in Jehoshaphat, if you will. There will he sit to judge all the heathen round about. Where? In the Middle East, okay? So that's where our eyes should be glued. All right, now back to this. This is in Eastern Europe, all right? So whatever this is fodder. It's cannon fodder. Now, I just saw something in the midst of this, so let's go there, because this is all, I'm going in the spirit. I saw something on my phone. Poplar preparedness. Where's that at? Or the Poplar report. So he just brought something up. Did they start the offensive? The long-awaited offensive? What does this say? Ukraine launches huge spring offensive. They are? Report, Russians retreating? This is 8 minutes ago. This is hot off the press news. So let's watch this, since this is wars and rumors of war. What is this? Is this a rumor? Ukraine launches huge spring offensive, reports Russians retreating. Huh? Retreating from where? Are they going into Crimea? We're going to have to go to the Voice of Reason to find this out. Salakia. Let's hear a little bit of what Steve Poplar has to say here.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Poplar Report. We're getting big news out of the Ukraine. There apparently is a major spring offensive underway, and this is by Ukrainian forces.
Wow.
The Russians attempted to do a winter offensive, and that apparently did not make too much headway.
Okay, so what the Duran was just saying, Alex and Alexander were just saying, oh, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. This guy said they just started it. So if it's not going to work, and they just started it, where is this thing going? Now, if the Voice of Reason is current, right, which is military, and we'll get to it. If he's on it and he's showing, he's going to show whether they're moving towards Crimea or not. That's the only thing that this offensive could mean. So let's
began encircling Bakhmut, but they still haven't gotten Bakhmut completely surrounded, and it is not the winter anymore. It is springtime, folks. And with the mud, apparently the initiative has shifted from the Russian forces over to the Ukrainian forces, who have lighter equipment that's better at handling mud, whereas the Russian heavy equipment just kind of sinks down into the mud more. Is kind of the...
Hold on. What is he saying? Is he trying to say that somehow the Ukrainians are taking back Bakhmut? They don't have a chance in Bakhmut. So, and this is why this is Wars and Rumors of War Tuesday. We got to figure out what's going on here. Let me listen to this again and see whether is this a Bakhmut offensive? No. They were damn near pushed out of Bakhmut proper yesterday. So let's listen again.
Encircling Bakhmut, but they still haven't got...
Slovakia.
The Russians attempted to do a winter offensive, and that apparently did not make too much headway. They began encircling Bakhmut, but they still haven't gotten Bakhmut completely surrounded, and it is not the winter anymore. It is springtime, folks. And with the mud, apparently the initiative has shifted from the Russian forces over to the Ukrainian forces.
This is not true. This is rumors of war. Okay? This is already his information is terrible. If the offensive, if the spring offensive by the Ukrainians isn't about moving towards Crimea, And what he's explaining, this is about Bakhmut. Bakhmut is already encircled, if you will, unless somebody is over there dropping tactical nukes, if you will, right? Unless NATO and the EU have come into the war proper.
Who have lighter equipment that's better at handling mud, whereas the Russian heavy equipment just kind of sinks down into the mud more. Is kind of the general consensus out there that wintertime, when the ground is frozen, the Russians kind of have the advantage, and then when it's dry in the summertime.
So what he's saying is, from yesterday to today, the momentum has changed, and suddenly Russia, all the ground that they've been gaining in the last 2 weeks has suddenly been lost? I don't think so.
Fall, that's when the Russians kind of have more advantage there too. But in the springtime with the mud, it seems like the Ukrainians have an advantage. Now we're hearing from Ukraine Defense Ministry that they have repelled major attacks from Lyman, Bakhmut, and Avdiivka and Marinka. These are all in the east, of course. Over 20 attacks repelled in the last 24 hours in these areas. We're also getting reports that Russia has launched 21 airstrikes across the country. But we're also getting a report from the Ukraine Defense Forces that they've shot down one Russian Mi-24 helicopter and 6 UAVs. A number of the missiles and such inbound from the Russian airstrikes have been down, including the UAVs. We're also seeing that Russia is increasing the number of checkpoints and patrols in several occupied areas, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So that means that they're setting up checkpoints behind their lines, whether that's out of concern for special operation.
Behind the lines of land that they already took? Come on, man. You're not making sense. And this is the reason for the World War III Daily Update, okay? The reason is so that day by day we can, and it gets a little tedious and monotonous, but we can see the difference between shit and shinola, excuse my language, all right? Now, all right, so this guy is coming from a whole different perspective. You got this guy on one side, he's clearly on the Ukrainian side, but we were watching the Duran. They were saying something completely different, which is the reason for Wars and Rumors of War Tuesday. So let's check in with the voice of reason and see where he's at. Okay, he's up to date. Right here. Battlefield Ukraine, the counterattack. This is up to date 2 hours ago. Now let's see what he says, because every day he's been saying that Russia's moving in this red line right here. Russia's moving and pushing in on Bakhmut. Let's see if he says that they were pushed back. Let's find out. Okay, so this is Military and Foreign Affairs Network, Battlefield Ukraine, the counterattack, the spring offensive, if you will, counteroffensive, 2 hours ago with the voice of reason. Let's listen to this.
Why I switched to
Slovakia. Wait for the commercial, and here we go.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. So we continue to see the United States reacting to the leaked Pentagon documents that try to give information or have released information pertaining to the ongoing war.
Now, is that rumor? Is that Sun Tzu? Make yourself look weak to the enemy with overwhelming strength? Let's find out.
Now, this information that has been released does not appear to bode well for the Ukrainian side. Now, we know through the the conflict that the Ukrainians have done a very good job at propagandizing the conflict.
Boom. Let's stop right there. At doing what? That's rumors. At saying our side is winning. Our side is winning. We only lost 1,300 soldiers, and Russia has lost 200,000. Right? That's what came out in the leak too. Right? Some bullshit.
Both sides do that, obviously. But in terms of losses, in terms of battlefield defeats, in terms of personnel losses, in terms of equipment losses, the Ukrainians have done a fairly good job of preventing a lot of those losses from coming to light.
Lying.
Probably better than the Russians have on the propaganda side of things. Now, what's interesting in these documents is they talk about the possibility that the Ukrainians may start to run out of air defense missiles.
Now, this is totally going again. I'm sorry for stopping it every 5 seconds, but this information here 2 hours ago is totally against what Steve Poplar just said. Where's the offensive? He would be saying it right now. Oh, well, they pushed their way back out of Bakhmut. They pushed Russia out of all the land that they've gained in the last 2 weeks out of Bakhmut. He's not saying that. All right, he'd be saying it right now, unless they did it in the last 2 hours, which I highly doubt. Okay, highly doubt it.
S-300s, Bulks, SA-11s, other systems that they are using against the Russian Air Force. Now, it's interesting to see the way that is positioned, that information is positioned, as if possibly the Ukrainians are running out of ammunition because they are using it against Russian forces. Undoubtedly, they are using these systems against Russian forces.
Or they're selling it on the open market and enriching themselves as their country falls into ruin. That's rumor out there. Okay? Maybe we might try to look at it.
Absolutely, it's happening. But what I don't believe is being talked about nor discussed about this leak of information is the other factors in terms of how these missiles and these systems, or how the Ukrainians are running out of these missiles and systems.
They're selling them on the open market.
And that is because the Russians are striking rear area supply depots. So yes, the Ukrainians are indeed using these air defense systems against Russian aircraft. Sometimes they hit Russian aircraft, sometimes they don't. The Russian Air Force has adapted over the course of the conflict where it is now conducting standoff missions against Ukrainian targets. And I talked about the use of glide bombs, long-range missiles that the Russians have and are continuing to produce. But more importantly is the strikes by these Russian aircraft, by these Russian cruise missiles, by these Russian ballistic missiles, drones, against supply areas where these missiles and systems are being held. We've heard about deep strikes by Russian forces against targets in western Ukraine. That has happened. Now, what are those targets? What are those targets? What are those strikes going after?
Okay, so I'm going to move it forward. I want to get to Bakhmut, so. Slovakia. Because I'm not getting anything out of that. I want some updated news. If they started an offensive, what is that going to come to? If they don't even have ammunition to fight, right? That's what it sounds like the voice of reason is saying. They ain't got no ammo. It's getting blown away. I think they're selling it.
The engagements near Bakhmut. This map, I can tell you right now, is not completely up to date. And we know now that the positioning on this map that you're looking at right now, and again, it's still, I believe, within reason, the best map that I can use at this point. But this map is not up to date. The Russians, in all probability, control all this area that is now in gray.
Okay, so that's totally in contrast to what Steve Poplar just said. Steve Poplar said that they just moved them back, right? Because they hadn't completely encircled Bakhmut. That's not the plan. Okay, the plan is to push them out, not to completely encircle them.
Now, this map shows the Russian line through Bakhmut is just along the railway area, and then the gray area is being contested. It looks like, right now at least, the Russians have pushed Ukrainian forces out of the area near the railway terminal and the railway line that runs through the city towards the western outskirts of Bakhmut.
Now, what he normally does is he'll do a day by day of how much land they get by the day. And it was way out here, a week ago, they were way out here on this river, and now they're here, right? He's not showing that some sort of offensive started 2 hours ago and they got pushed out. All right, that's not what's being said.
So it'll be interesting to see in the coming days how this pans out. Again, I believe at this point, as I've talked about before, the Ukrainians are right now just attempting to get those forces that are defending Bakhmut out of Bakhmut, and that operation continues. It is the Ukrainians are unable to do a mass withdrawal from Bakhmut, again, out of concern of being targeted by Russian aircraft, by Russian artillery.
In this area. So they're retreating. The Ukrainians are retreating. So if they launched some sort of offensive like Poplar just said, they would be going to, they've already lost Bakhmut, right? It's a Bakhmut point, all right? It's a moot point. They would be going down and trying to position themselves to go into Crimea, which is another moot point. You're not going to drive the Russians up out of there. All right, so this is a dog and pony show. All right, so I'm going to stop that there. And what I'm going to do, let's search this. Ukrainians, UKRINE, Ukraine is selling weapons given to them by U.S. Let's see where this goes. All right. This is what's not being done. Zelensky is enriching himself. Let's see what this draws up. It's 11 months. 11 months. What? War is good business. How U.S. weapons makers profit in Ukraine. See, they're hiding this a year ago. Very concerned about U.S. weapons shortages. Nope. 11 months, 1 month. Okay. 1 month. Hypersonics. Okay, so they're not reporting on it. Accusations against Ukraine, this is 8 months ago, of selling Western weapons. Who creates the arms scandal? This is more of the truth here. What accusations against Ukraine of selling Western weapons? If those weapons, see, Voice of Reason said they're being blown up. Here's what's going on. You know why? Because they're showing up. Where are they showing up? They're showing up in ISIS and the Taliban. These different fighters, right, are coming up with the weapons that are being given to them, to the Ukrainians. All right. See how there's not much on it? Let's see. Ukraine arms ending up in wrong hands 7 months ago. What about now? All right. Just a short little, let's see, just a little inquiry. All right. Just a tiny look. All right. Black market arms. This is 8 years ago. Zelensky is selling weapons on the open market that are being given to him. Right? Zelensky sells U.S. weapons. Let's see. What did I put? Zelensky. Is it? Yeah. EN. SKI. Sells weapons. Let's see. What happens to weapons sent to Ukraine? The U.S. doesn't really know. Why does this keep coming up? 304. They got a good record of how to scrub things. They got AI when they don't want things coming out. Let's see. Russia warns U.S. about arms sales to Ukraine as weapon makers reap bonanza. Let's look at that's YouTube. I don't want hate definition. Let's get Zelensky. Sells. And they try to keep things like this on the hush. Dark websites selling alleged Western weapons sent to Ukraine. First vendor weapons Ukraine lists. Arms sent to Ukraine will end up in criminal hands. That's June. Weapons in Ukraine aren't flooding Europe's black market. Got both sides, right? Arms smuggling. All right, anyway. So, hey, rumors of war, right? This is August. This is July. Let's look at this. And I mean, hey, if it's out there, sometimes you have to provide a diligent search. Ukraine sells weapons on black market due to limited ability to use. Okay? The arms sent to Ukraine using the money of taxpayers in the U.S., United Kingdom, and elsewhere are being used to line the pockets of Ukrainian authorities. Ukraine is selling weapons it acquired from the West on the black market due to the Kiev forces' limited ability to use them because of their lack of training, logistical challenges, and the diminishing size of the Ukrainian armed forces. Former senior Pentagon advisor Karen Kwiatkowski told Sputnik on Thursday. So we'll end it right here. Let's see. Joel 3 and 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. We see that. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak, the Ukraine, let the weak say, I am strong. I got them weapons, but I'm selling them on the open black market, enriching myself, and I got homes. I got summer homes in Argentina with the rest of the Nazis, right? All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and close. We hope that the elect are edified. You brothers and few sisters, shalom.